Word of the Day is a program that I had in my classroom where each day the boys and girls were introduced to one new high frequency word. The words that I chose from came from the Fry most frequently used word list that I shared with you a little bit earlier in the presentation. The Fry words are broken down into groups of 100, and we followed in order throughout the school year until we completed 180 words. Our Word of the Day program was a fantastic way to not only introduce the boys and girls to high frequency words, but also the way that I gave them our Word of the Day activity each day. The boys and girls learned decoding strategies, phonics, and phonemic awareness as well. To start our Word of the Day, each day I would write a sentence on our whiteboard, and the Word of the Day word would be turned backward and put in a blank for the boys and girls to use their decoding strategies of meaning and structure to guess the word. They would have to use the context of the sentence and the structure of the sentence to figure out what word would make sense. Our sentence today says, "Do you know how to blank your name?" And the boys and girls would read it with me. Then they would raise their hand to guess words that would make sense. Some of the guesses that they may have at this point would be, do you know how to say your name, read your name, find, trace, yell, sing, write, or sign? The boys and girls may also notice that these are all verbs. At this point, we're going to bring in our decoding strategy that is visual and look at the first letter of the word. At this point, I will write the first letter of the word on the board and prompt the boys and girls to say the first sound, "wa." Then we'll read the sentence again with our first sound. Do you know how to wa your name? I always ask the boys and girls if any of the guesses we've already made sound right and look right. They will mostly say no to this word that is actually our word of the day. But once in a while, there's a few kiddos that know the word write from our list. Do you know how to write your name? Begins with a silent W. When they've guessed that, I will check by showing them the rest of the word, and we will look visually to see if our guess and our word are the same. At this point, I will turn our word card around and also write it on the board, and we'll read our sentence to see if the word is actually the word we guessed. Do you know how to write your name? Next, I will turn our Word of the Day card over, and I will also write our Word of the Day word and trace the shape so the boys and girls who are using logographic print can put a picture of the shape of our new word in their head. After I trace the shape, I will ask the boys and girls what the shape makes them think of. Some will say a skyscraper, some might say a shoe. Whatever it is, that's going to make a match in their head. Another visual that I do is, if possible, I draw a picture to match the word. And so I've added the pencil to show that this is a word meaning right. I will also, in this case, add another word to our board, and that is the homonym right, R-I-G-H-T, along with a picture of a right hand. We'll talk together with the boys and girls about the word write with a pencil that is a verb, and right like your right hand or right like a correct answer, being words that sound the same but are spelled different and mean different things. Now it's time for the fun part, exercising the word.
Our word. Remember, if it's a short letter, we put our hands on our hips. If it's a basement letter, we touch our toes. If it's a vowel, we boogie down. And if it's a tall letter, we reach to the sky. Are you ready to exercise our word of the day? Here we go. Let's see how many letters are in the word right. W-R-I-T-E. Right. W-R-I-T-E. Right. W-R-I-T-E. Right. How many letters are in our word?
5.
Now let's see how many sounds are in our word. Let's tap each sound. Ready?
Right.
Right. Right. Right. Right. Right. How many sounds are in our word?
3.
We have 5 letters and 3 sounds. What's going on in my word?
At this point, I'll go back to our written word and we will look at the spelling of the word. I will say we have our 5 letters. Now let's look at our 3 sounds. The first sound we tapped was R. Who says it in our word? And the boys and girls will say R. And I'll say, is he allowed to? And they will say yes or no, depending if they know that skill. Then I will say, the second sound we tapped was I. Who says it in our word? And they will say I. I'll say, is it allowed to? And they will say yes, because we see our magic E on the end. The last sound we tap in our word is T. And I will ask the boys and girls who says it, and they will say T. And I'll say, is he allowed to say that sound? And they will say yes. And I'll say, is our word a rule breaker or a rule follower? And actually, prior to doing this, I will have them make the prediction with a partner to say rule breaker or rule follower. And this is where we're actually checking that. And so this will be agreed upon that it is a rule following word. The newest rule we learned, though, is WR can sometimes say the sound of just plain R. But this is our time where we diagnose the phonics in the word and sometimes learn new skills. One of the last steps we'll follow is to look at our word and see if it's a popular word family. So the word family today is ite, and the boys and girls will brainstorm words out loud that rhyme with the word right, and then we'll start making lists. And from our word today, you can see that we've come up with 2 lists. One follows ITE for ite, and the other follows IGHT for ite. Using this strategy of open-ended brainstorming, the boys and girls can determine on their own that both ite word families are fairly popular. And from there, we will take our word families and copy them onto ite light bulb and ite kite. And then I will hang those along our classroom clothesline that strings from one end to the other of our ceiling. So if I'm writing a word in the ite family, I know where I can look to spell it correctly. And this becomes a classroom resource that's very valuable. When the lesson is over, the Word of the Day helper will carry the word of the day and, using a magnet, put it on the metal door frame from our classroom into the hallway. Each time the boys and girls line up to go out of our room for the day, the Word of the Day helper will stand at the front of the line and point to the word. Each child will read the word as they exit our classroom. This is done on an average of 3 to 5 times during the day. So the boys and girls have repetition in practice for learning the word. At the end of the day, the Word of the Day helper will take the word from the metal door frame, and they will staple it onto our word wall in the back of the classroom. Then the word can be used for multiple games and activities. The boys and girls will also take the word card home on their word ring that can be used to read and spell words at home with their families.